So, hi everybody. Good morning. For anybody who's with me in the Pacific time, it's 7 in the morning. So, really glad that you're sharing your time with all of us today to learn a little bit more about AI, especially in the SaaS space. I lead the HR analytics, AI, ML, all that suite of products for Oracle. So primarily the focus is how do we apply analytics and these new technologies to understand people through people analytics and also HR analytics for them. So my topic today was understanding AI and operationalizing it within your company or your product. I'm going to just quickly walk you through a few aspects. I am a first principles person, so just like from the core, getting the basic and the intuition right on what are we talking about. There's a lot of good resources available today, and a lot of courses, books, etc. available. So sometimes in the world of AI, we do hear a lot of jargon also and a lot of buzzwords. So just like I thought I'll just take a couple of minutes in the beginning to at least talk about what is intelligence and what is all this craze about, and why is artificial intelligence almost becoming, an extension of our life. It's not just like a thing or a project that we do in one aspect of our life. It is really embedded, whether we know it or not, in almost every aspect of our working lives and our living lives today. So we'll cover through a few topics, and I'll try to keep time at the end. Otherwise, I don't know if there's a way of you asking questions in between. Also, I'm happy to, um, you know, uh, take it that way. So let's just start our journey together. First, what is intelligence, right? And there's so many definitions. I'm sure if we were in a real in a live room and I had asked the questions, all of us would probably have slightly different answers. But intelligence, this is from Collins Dictionary. It is really our ability to think, reason, and understand. So, not just react impromptu or instinctively, but thinking, reasoning, and understanding. And believe it or not, as human beings, we are intelligent and we do a lot of things. When we are talking, I'm conceptualizing my thoughts, I'm putting them in a constructive way to deliver it. You are recognizing my speech. You are again constructing the message in your head. You're rationalizing, blah, blah, blah. So, lots of things we are doing. So, really, then, what is artificial intelligence? Very quickly, it is the ability for computers to do exactly what humans are doing. And when computers start doing it, they can also start doing it at scale, and they can start doing it, especially if it's a repetitive task, they can start doing it flawlessly, right? Because they don't get tired. And when imagine a world when they start sort of becoming our buddies, helping us rationalize, think all that stuff at scale flawlessly, have multiple GPUs, behind them and to power them, then of course the world can get a lot of things done much faster and more accurately. Doesn't mean they're necessarily more intelligent than us, but they just help us scale faster, right? So that is why AI is sort of the craze, and why everybody's so focused on it. I'll just give you a few examples, very quick examples. So, for example, AI in traffic, if you use Waze or you use Google Maps, you're sending traffic, and AI is looking at past trends and then using those past trends to predict what the future might look like, right? So, we have this as part of our lives on a regular basis. AI in healthcare, now our smart watches, and when we go for runs, Nike Run, I'm a hiker, so when I use Strava, like there's a lot of things they can do just looking at past trends, past data to analyze what future could look like. And again, there's lots of algorithms and lots of different ways of modeling it. I will not go in that today, but essentially the capability of us looking in the past trends, past data to identify trends, which can then be used to understand what the future could look like, is one way of doing artificial intelligence. Any sort of intelligence, that was one predictive aspects, but there are other aspects we'll talk about today. AI in weather. So this week, hopefully, many of us used it quite a bit. I did. When do I go out for a run or when do I take my dogs out for a walk? So Weather Channel helped us quite a bit, right? So again, they're collecting a lot of signals and they're trying to make sense out of it. When precipitation is so much and the temperature is so much, it kind of tends to rain. Okay, it has happened 10,000 times in the past lives or millions of times, so likelihood of it happening again is high. So they can do that. Tesla, any of these autonomous vehicles, if you have used them. So again, like it has been in a journey towards AI, right? Our first cars were no automation. Then we started assisting the driver just a little bit. Then we had partial automation where it could at least guide you that you are moving in the right direction, right? When your GPS kind of beeps and says, "Here, take a U-turn," whatever. Then you can have conditional automation where driver is still required, but it is not required to monitor the environment. So my husband has a Tesla. Sometimes, he just puts it in the auto drive mode when he's in straight drives, and he's still there. We're not at a stage where he can just not be in the car, but he's not doing a lot more of cognitive thinking or intelligence. The machine is doing it for him, and we will we're moving towards a area where cars will be on self-drive mode, as we're aware, right? So the reason I put the slide in here is to just explain that AI is a journey. Whatever your use case be for your product, your company, however you're thinking of, automating a system or applying artificial intelligence, uh, you have to give yourself time, because it takes time for both humans and machines to understand each other, to learn from data. There are tons of use cases where it didn't work because we didn't have enough data, right? Versus in the case of autonomous vehicles, over a couple of decades, we believe we will reach, and we're already like a decade plus in, right? So within 5 to 10 years, we believe we will have cars which technology wise can be in uh, uh, full automation. They will understand the roads, they will understand the maps, and they will be able to drive forward themselves. Legally, separate conversation. Is it safe, is it legal, what are the implications? We're not going in that, but from a technology perspective, it is going to be possible, and it took years, it took several iterations to reach this stage. And that's the case with most of the use cases when we start following this journey. So that brings me to, like, how intelligent is AI and what sorts of AI are there, is there in the world, right? So artificial and just build the slide quickly so we can talk in the interest of time. First is artificial narrow intelligence. And this is really when we train a technology or we have a product to do just one thing for us. So, chess, the supercomputer we had, it was trained just to play chess. When Amazon works on this algorithm for recommendation, that algorithm can only do recommendation. If you tomorrow go and say, okay, now tell me how to cook a pasta, it's not trained for that. It's trained for one very specific stream of intelligence, one use case only. And so far, most of the artificial intelligence implementations have been here. Hey, I have a, can you detect fraud in my payments, right? So e-commerce sites would implement that. Or we would have the chatbots, whether it's on the Facebook or it's on commerce, or when Slack now talks to us as an enterprise product. Well, it's trained to have that conversation again based on lots of past patterns. Autonomous car, again, it is way more intelligent than many, maybe like just a single recommendation engine, likely because it's doing a lot of signal detection and a lot of interpretation, etc. But it is still only focused on driving a car, right? When we think in terms of human beings, though, our intelligence is sort of wide and varied. And the next quest for all of us is to move towards an area where a land or a time where AI will be generally intelligent. So if given um, a machine, a robot, an algorithm, we can use it for multiple things. So hopefully you are now familiar. Chat GPT came up around, I think, November, December. It's a pretty powerful chat, actually. If you have not paid for it, with it, I would ask you to go and try it by OpenAI, and they have hooked up with Google. So literally, you can ask a question, and you get, like, goes through, scans a lot of results, comprehends it, puts it in a nice format, and you get a nice story back. Like, um, there was a story that kids have started using it for writing their essays for homework and for college applications as well. So very powerful. Play with it, ask any random question, and I think it's getting smarter by the day. So because we are also, the more questions we ask, the more data, I'm assuming, it goes and scans, so it becomes it's kind of enhancing its own intelligence. And there are algorithms that kind of self-train themselves, so they're leveraging it very well. So it seems like we are sort of it's not fully general. Like I can't just say now drive a car for me, but it's just sort of like a maybe one step in a thousand step journey towards moving in that direction. And again, it's very early, so don't quote me on chat gpt as such. I'm also playing with it and learning what where it will take and what it entails. But definitely a very intriguing product that came out around the new year's November actually. And then the next stage where we believe is will be artificial super intelligence, where the machine can likely become better than humans and more faster, more competent, etc. So that's kind of the stages in which we think in terms of AI, and most of the things, most of the use cases are still very focused on a specific use case, etc. But the idea is to make it sort of like a buddy. So team up with artificial intelligence to solve more complex problems. Robots tend to be in this space where if you have a robot for home or for a manufacturing industry, then you can ask the robot tons of things, tons of similar things that humans can do, maybe which they do repetitively. Okay, so that is AI. Now AI can be and there's many branches of AI. So really just think of them as flavors in which I can ask a machine to intelligently solve problems for me, right? So again, going back to first principles, nothing complex here, even though there are lots of words. But machine learning, intuitive. What is machine learning? It is our ability. It is the ability for machine to self-learn. Okay, so I give you tons of data, let's say records for 1 million people, and then machines use algorithms to kind of become intelligent themselves. So for example, in an email, if I say, well, okay, what emails are junk, you and I never sit and tell an email, right, this is a junk, but the algorithms, it's called supervised learning, they have been able to classify what's junk, what's not junk. They do it for millions of emails, and then the machine becomes intelligent enough to self categorize or classify is the word into what is junk, what is not junk, right? So there are different flavors. I've kind of highlighted some purples on like some applications. When I look at any technology, my brain goes primarily on what is the use of it. What how can we use this specific technology to solve a problem for ourselves, for our company, our product, b2c, b2b doesn't matter, but eventually it's a tool that should help meet some end, right? So what it is in black here, and then some ways of applying it are in here. So email spamming would be one. The Amazon classification of what's a recommendation product, again, could be a supervised learning. Unsupervised learning would be clustering, for example, where we're saying, okay, like given a set of 1 million people, can you classify or cluster them in different potential different skill groups, right? So that could be, we didn't even tell what skills are. The machine just looks at lots of random dots and then tries to say, okay, these things seemingly go together, so it must be cluster one, this must be cluster two. And a human being comes and says, oh yeah, you got it right, cluster one seems to be designers, cluster two seems to be engineers, cluster three seems to be customer support people, etc, etc. So machine learning, again, when we train the machines to self learn and become intelligent. And then reinforcement is sort of like the self driving car. you know 10 times we tell them this is the wrong direction, they kind of reinforce their own learning. And again, we don't have the time to go in the details for any of them, so I'll just go keep it a little bit, just telling you the whole story, and then we'll see if there's specific questions. Okay, deep learning, again, it's advanced field of machine learning used to solve. It's deep, right? So you have multiple layers of learning, not just a single layer. So when I'm looking at a cat, it's sort of like 80,000, different algorithms which will play and tell me, well, it has two eyes, it is white, it is this shape. It looks like other cats I've seen. It's not a dog. So facial recognition, Alexa, all of them use different flavors of deep learning. Natural language processing is when a machine talks to us, to a human being, understanding the very unstructured way of written and spoken English. These are not Excel tabs or rows and columns, right? So when I am using, like right now, if I talk to Siri, I will send it a plethora of unstructured words that come out of my mouth. Siri will understand it, comprehend it, and then respond back. So it's really the ability of computers to understand what human language is, whether it's spoken or written. And this was a amazing advancement in technology, because now it allows a lot of things to happen. When you're looking at surveys in our companies, engagement surveys or customer surveys, sentiments of the text, which is pretty unstructured, we are able to analyze because of NLP. Again, Siri, Alexa use deep learning, but they are also using NLP in the interaction pieces. So input and output are NLP based. The in between processing could be deep learning based, right? So quickly, robotics. So, we've all seen different kinds of robots, but when you're creating intelligent and efficient robots, it's using many aspects of machine of AI robotics. One of the robots that came to discussion was Flippy. It acquires new cooking skills by working around human beings, right? So it's a kitchen assistant. Then expert systems is the ability to make decisions like a human expert will, using databases and expert knowledge systems. So often used in medical diagnosis, loan analysis, wherever we have a lot of very specific data to scan, and then use the intelligence hidden in that. We kind of classify that as expert system. And then fuzzy logic is this concept of kind of degrees of truth, the shades of gray. So normally computers work with Boolean, 0 or 1, is it true or is it false? This one is our ability to kind of understands, well, it's somewhere like 20% right? So vehicle environment control would be like in that bucket. So again, I'm just going to continue on the journey. So AI is very simple: ability for machines to be intelligent, to act like human beings. There are different flavors of it, different degrees of being intelligent. We covered all that, but all of this really starts with data, right? Uh, if the more data you have, the more accurate data you have, the more model will learn accurately, and hence will be able to help us with future use cases or with similar use cases. But if data is, there's a very almost like an omnipresent saying garbage in, garbage out. So uh, if we don't feed the right data, we will not get the right results, right? So that's clear. Like data is like the key. You cannot without good data, you cannot uh, really expect AI to work the way you expect it. And uh, I will re-emphasize this word, because the journey for operationalizing AI in our companies or in our product starts with collecting and cleaning and assimilating the right data from the right sources for the right use cases. If we don't have it, we will believe we are progressing, but we really will not, because you'll essentially, like, let's say you have a lots of data about dogs, and you in your algorithm you believe you are training it to identify cats. It just won't be, because it doesn't know what the cat looks like. I mean, very rudimentary example, but hopefully it drives the message home. Garbage in, garbage out. So almost 70 to 80% of the efforts in a company when they start operationalizing AI tends to be around their data, because you can actually buy a model, you can buy external tools to make this happen, you can have consultants work with you, but if your data is not right, nobody can really make sense out of it, right? So very, very critical. Now I mean, of all the different flavors of AI, um, they all have their applications, like we talked about. Deep learning is an area which is taking off, again, because it's got high demand. There is a demand is very high for that. And why is the demand high? Because deep learning, when you apply like multiple tiers of intelligence to make sense, for a computer to make sense, like facial recognition by Facebook, it solves or eliminates a lot of human problems, right? So the demand is high to minimize human interaction, primarily to reduce risk, and also to make it faster because it's tireless. So this was a demand over decades, if not centuries, intuitively. But and then lately, technological advancements have made it possible. So now we have big data, we have huge storage spaces. Technology has made it possible, and the society is digitized, right? So you and I are wearing our Apple watches, sending signals, like everything, whether it's enterprise space. It's all digitized at this point. We are Companies are moving towards cloud. Their digital transformation is a thing, and many companies have gone through it. Many companies are going through it. So enterprises are creating a lot of data, and of course, consumers are creating a lot of data for enterprises to understand them as customers and as employees. So data is available. The first problem. Second is, how do I compute that data? So guess what? We have cloud and we have GPU. So again, technology has come to our rescue and said, okay, give me, give me terabytes of data, and I have the computational power to make sense out of it. And then over the years, algorithms are also advancing. So not only can I compute, but the way I compute is also getting faster. The result of this is high demand created the interest in investments, and we delivered on these all the three aspects of it. And the result of it is that we have now um, algorithms which self-learn, and they're able to extract new feature. This is the technical aspect of deep learning, where the more data I have, the better algorithms I have, the more I compute, I'm able to extract new features. So you thought eyes were the only way of understanding cat, but you know what? The shape also matters, because dogs also have two eyes, right? So things we will not feed the algorithm in the beginning, but the algorithm, after looking at data and really computing different flavors of it, starts understanding and identifying other aspects or dimensions or features within the data that will also make the quality of the algorithm and the output better, right? So and this is happening, think of it almost like a continuous cycle. Now I have this capability, okay, I'll go back and then I'll reuse it. Now from eyes you came to shape. Well, the size also matters, what they eat also matters, where they are from matters, like so many aspects of it. So the computer starts so that's why this is taking kind of really hitting off. I'm not sure how much time I have, because we started a few minutes, so I'll try to wind up in 5 6 minutes. How does natural language processing work? I talked about it. This is again important, because most of the use cases I'm seeing in enterprises tend to be around NLP. So I thought I'll just quickly cover this. It's important because whether you have employees or you have customers, when you're implementing AI, it'll be great, right? If the computer can not just talk to an Excel but also have human interaction, right? So essentially what it means is the capability of the machine to understand linguistics, like languages, and there are some, there are 4 steps. So algorithms have been built to answer to cater to these. And then embeddables is a algorithm available for NLP, which can again be deployed. So you don't have to build these algorithms yourself. Just understand what they're doing behind the scenes, and then understand the use case that you want to implement with. So for example, here's a use case. Assume whether I build an LLP algorithm or I just buy it, doesn't matter. But here, given an email, I can now just apply it to say, to understand a lot of things. What are the named entities? What was the sentiment? What are the key phrases? This language is English. Now imagine the same thing written in French. I could have used machine again to say, again, identify the phrases, identify the sentiment, and then I have employees, 40% of them in America, 20% of them in France, maybe 10 in India, etc., etc. And they are filling surveys at the end of the year, engagement surveys. Okay, go through that. My HR or my managers do not have to, go through. They don't have to go through all the languages, but machine can also, scan all the multiple languages and bring me a cohesive result in the end. Overall sentiment is so and so. Key themes across the company are so and so, right? So becomes very powerful, and machines do it much faster. There are lots of SaaS use cases to build here. Customer feedback analysis, for example. I mean, language is the unstructured aspects of human communication, right? So customer feedback, employee feedback, any kind of document processing, we can use that. The challenge here a little bit when you apply it is, if I for example, in one of the use cases we are building in Oracle, HR analytics is survey analytics. Now the more um, if I start feeding customer feedback surveys for products to understand employee engagement, well, you, at the superficial level, yeah, you will get the right, you'll get some sentiment, but it will not understand the domain specificity, right? Like, what are the things when employees are giving us feedback, they'll likely talk about a product, a company, the manager, their job, their career path. Those things are strings, will not be available when I'm giving feedback on Amazon. So yeah, I mean, it's feedback, but the context kind of matters and is important quite a bit. And another thing is the computation that we talked about. When I'm operationalizing any of these use cases, I have to be very cognizant in terms of the context I'm applying it to, what is the level of data I'm looking at, and also how complex the use cases and accordingly apply. So let's just be very quick on a few more examples here. Speech services, another aspect of NLP. Alexa uses it. We are using chatbots. Our customer service chatbots use it. For example, many companies are doing it. So it's like really looking at this unstructured speech to give some output. Otter.ai, great tool to convert speech into text if you want to use it. Again, more use cases: call center analytics, media, search and discovery can use it. Conversational experiences like Siri, etc., or chatbots with for customer success can use it. So again, machine learning and AI basically are computers becoming intelligent like humans. There are different speeds, right? General intelligence from specific intelligence. We talked about the fact that AI has lots of different applications. Deep learning is kicking off, NLP is hitting off. The bottom line is technology is pretty advanced at this stage. There's a lot available off the shelf. The key thing though is your data for your product and your company is what you need to. You're the only one who can bring that to life, right? So when I think in terms of operationalizing, I don't just think in terms of which algorithm and what problem. I try to simulate what the use case is. What is the problem my team is solving? What is the problem our customers are solving? Or what is the problem our product needs to solve for our customers next? Then we look around and see, okay, what category is it? And what kind of algorithms can I leverage? And then we try to operationalize it for now. So focus is really on the need, whether it's in whatever. If you're a B2C company, then your customers need. B2B company, then whoever your customer is directly. If you're focusing on internals, then your employee needs, or your what is the need, what is the use case. Technology, likelihood is that it exists, like chat gpt I mentioned, and a lot more available. If it doesn't exist, you can build it, but that's still secondary. Unless you're a platform company, of course. I mean, if you're just focusing on algorithm, the next new algorithm which will be the best self-driving car, that's a separate story. I am more focused on applications of technology and understanding technology to apply it for the right use case at the right time, the right way. And then I would say, when you're trying to operationalize AI, then identify activities in your organization that you can automate using AI. So, AI is not just like a completely, today I will start an AI project for my product, or today I will just, create a new organization who will only focus on AI. AI is a culture. You've got to start thinking in terms of teaming up with computers. Where can I leverage which algorithm to make things stronger for me and my customer and my employees? So identify low hanging areas where AI can be useful, then classify them into short term quick wins to really create the culture, and a long term initiative which will likely take longer term. And this is true for whether it's a product or a company. Think in short and long terms, and then build a portfolio. And then even the organization structure, it's not like it's ideal that like it's kind of spread through. So in my team, everybody has either gone through an AI training or is building an AI product. They might be in different levels of maturity of understanding AI. The product, it doesn't mean that every single aspect of the product has an AI algorithm embedded in it. So again, company culture or product basis, it's part of the fabric, and the fabric will have different maturity. But tend to we have to kind of clear all champs. Otherwise, it'll become a standalone thing. Three people are doing in a company on a only specific use case in the product, and it'll never become part of that product or that team or that organization. The SaaS product. So, I thought I'll leave you with specific examples on how you operationalize it, given all that all this overview. So I would start with some quick wins, whatever they might be for your product or your company, whichever aspect you're thinking right now. So adapt some of the self solutions which have low investment, and expose all employees or all your team members building the product on that, on AI, so that they start playing. I mean, if nothing, okay, start playing with Siri, start playing with chat GPT, start like understanding how AI is around you, literally every aspect of it. There are some examples, you may have others. And then also pick up a long-term project where you start researching. And remember, the autonomous vehicle took like longer, multiple pivots and multiple uh, you know, fail fast and restarts and pivots and all that stuff. So um, choose one project, maybe three. Um, we try to do three for our product here, and we start like, what is the data, what is the use case, where can I fetch the data, let's start playing, building some algorithms, let's pick up something from off the shelf and then tweak it for that, for our use cases, let's feed different data and see what we learn. And the fact is, of the three algorithms, if one of them become a final product, then we are happy, because sometimes data is not available, sometimes algorithms are not yet robust, and unfortunately sometimes the use case is not yet fully flushed out either, right? So with that, I am going to end, and I hope that was helpful for all of you.
Thank you so much, Manisha. Sorry, we had to cut it a little bit early due to the time, but I think you got a lot of great insight. I did, at least. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
I'm glad, and so sorry again, something happened, but I hope it was useful for the audience today. Thanks a lot for
No
having me.
worries at all. Yeah, no, absolutely. So let me ask you before I let you go, where can people connect with you? Is it Twitter, LinkedIn, email? What do you prefer?
LinkedIn is best. I Yeah, I put my LinkedIn profile there. You can share it also with them, but yeah, LinkedIn, I used to work at LinkedIn. I'm still a big fan of LinkedIn.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great platform. So, great way to connect with people, especially during these types of events. So, I appreciate you. It doesn't look like we have any questions that have come in yet. So, we might stick around for another minute before I let you go. One question that I do have for you that I've been asking all the speakers is like, what predictions do you have for 2023 in your space?
In my space, well, my specific space is HR analytics or people analytics. My prediction is that it will become much more mainstream. So today, it's again, everything in AI is expanding, right? So where we are focusing on right now is solving critical use cases where leaders and managers will be able to understand the investments in their workforce much better, so that they can hire, retire, or sort of grow their workforce. Because okay, I can go on and on in my specific space. Like 70% of your OPEX is workforce cost, and you want to understand it. I think on an individual journey, AI is almost becoming like very um, pervasive to everything we do. I'm pretty like, I say intrigued with Chat GPT. If you ask me, JV,
Yeah,
it's like you just go and ask a question, and like literally
fascinating.
random questions, right? Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
like
study
Google
some
search
Indians.
on steroids.
Oh, absolutely. And so I was searching for like, there are like Bhagavad Gita. It's a book I read. It's an Indian scripture. And I mean, it like literally, because it's able to connect with Google, it answers like mind blowing questions. The quality of the question is not yet like, if you talk to a
Yeah,
scholar about that topic, of course they will know that. But it's an amazing start, definitely. So
yeah,
I think we'll
it's
see
fascinating.
more
I
of
mean, I
that.
definitely have been jumping on the train in regards to just kind of embracing it because people are fighting it and then there's people that are embracing it. I think the most fascinating part is like, I mean, I'm trying to explain that to someone is really difficult. Like, in the sense that like you literally just type in, you don't have to go searching for the answers. I mean, it doesn't give you 100% accuracy or like exactly what you need, but I mean, it's like I put something in within like 14 seconds, I get like a whole response back. And, whether I'm a marketer, so, whether it's some sort of like blog outline or, social media post, like it's definitely going to change the landscape of businesses a lot, I believe. I think what I've started noticing is just like you said, if you put in garbage, you're gonna get out garbage, right? So it's just like if you don't ask the right questions or you just ask too much of generic question, it's going to give you a very generic, broad answer. So you have to be
Yeah,
very specific about
actually,
the things that you
just
ask.
to be Yeah, I'll just leave you with that. You brought up a very good point, JV. So there was, I'm forgetting the name of it, but like a few years back, a chatbot was developed, and two instances of that were deployed. One was in China and one was in America, I believe. And the same algorithm, because the kind of questions I guess the two places were asking. One was very respectful and catering to you in a nice manner and responding. The other was literally using abusive languages because, I mean, for them it's just a term, right? So how you use it is again the data that we feed it, not just the questions, but the conversational aspects of it. So whatever we fed, same algorithm deployed in two different places, used differently, started giving a a very good result and a very bad result. So that's again like
Wow.
how you train your machine is up to us. So yeah, I would say instead
Yep.
of questioning the technology, embrace it and then use it the right way.
Yeah, no, I definitely think I mean, businesses will be moving forward a lot this year. I feel like the next 12 to 18 months, a lot of businesses will revolutionize the way they're doing business, conducting business, and using technology like this to embrace the change that's coming. Because, I mean, I'm only 31, but I feel like ChatGPT already has done more, like, I don't want to use the word damage, but more impact in like from a technology standpoint. I mean, I always thought the cell phone was like the greatest world's greatest technology, but now this Chat GPT has the potential to overtake that very quickly.
It does, and I think it'll open up more avenues and more ideas. I mean, actually, Google had that, right? The Sentinel AI algorithm, which uh, they are going to resurface up again. I was reading about that. So they'll go. This technology is not new. It's just that we are seeing a few things surface up which were kind of under the covers. So it's just a start, um,
Definitely.
Javi.
It's definitely more mainstream for sure. Definitely not new, but definitely more mainstream, for sure.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good way
well,
of saying it. Yeah.
thank you so much for your time and having that conversation with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and thank you for getting up early to join us. So I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have an awesome and successful year.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Take care now.
Have a good one. Bye bye.